All right. Hey guys, it's me, Damien. I'm going to talk about my five things. So, number one was, of course, accessibility. Check out the thing pulled up here in front of me so I can keep track. But yeah, a use case of AI for accessibility is huge. I use it, as mentioned, not just to read things in my house, but even outside of my house too. So, for me, like if I go to a restaurant and I can't read the menu, I can take out something like Gemini Live. I can point it at the menu and I can say, "Hey, what's on this? I'm in the mood for like a burger. What kind of burgers do they got?" And it'll look through and it'll sometimes it's not always right, but you know, it's not really a big deal for that kind of situation because I can just say to the waitress like, "Oh, you don't have that. What other kind of burger do you have?" Uh, if I don't just ask the if I don't just ask the waitress what to eat to begin with. Um, but like it makes it very useful, um, especially because a lot of menus are not accessible. Even digital ones are kind of annoying for a lot of restaurants. But if you take if they have a website and a menu on it, you can send it to something like Grok. It'll scrape the website and tell you, which is really helpful. Which I use all the time for all kinds of things. It's just kind of general scraping, getting data off a website that would otherwise be inaccessible to me due to any, screen reader issues. But we'll go to number two, prototyping. Yeah. And so I've built a lot of prototypes. I have a very full GitHub portfolio. Um, but like, I don't want to pay someone 50 grand to make a half baked version of what I want. Why would I do that when AI can do it for free now, really? Like, it's a very accessible time to be able to get into making a prototype that you can share with investors and other people to say, like, hey, this is how it's going to work, kind of. This is the general idea. This isn't the finished product. But then that prototype also is very helpful for actually creating the MVP because the team you hand it off to can see, hey, oh, wow, I've got this prototype so I can see kind of how the architecture should look and then iterate from there. It's very nice. Editing slash formatting. Yeah. That one's huge for me. Um, Going through menus on things like Google Docs are really annoying and tedious, including the ones for for these interviews. It's really annoying to have to like. There's a bajillion different shortcuts they teach you after you go blind, and it's like, oh, I can't remember any of them. And so it's way easier to just take it, throw it into the AI, say, keep my tone of voice, keep everything that I'm saying, but just, like make it more grammatical, like polish it a little bit, make it easier to read, or even flow better. And it can do that. And it does an amazing job. It's very, very good at that. But never, ever ask it to change anything because then it'll start throwing in weird, fancy words that don't mean anything. The only person that gets to make weird, fancy words is me. Brainstorming. Oh, yeah. That one's super good, but you do have to be careful. Uh, AI, especially Gemini, it's notorious for this. It loves to agree with you. It If you say anything like, actually, I think dog poop tastes awesome. AI Gemini would say, "Oh, wow, that's so cool that you love to eat dog poop. I totally support you in this." So Gemini is not a good brainstormer partner. Um, Unless you want it to ask you questions. Like if I say, uh, you know, I want to make a computer that has AI baked into it, like a Microsoft Copilot kind of deal. And then it can help you be like, okay, well, how would you do that? And then it makes you kind of think through it. That's a way better, more Socratic kind of like a Socratic questioning of, okay, but how? Why? Where? That kind of thing is really important. So never ever take everything AI says 100%. Always know that there's it's not always right. In fact, it's not usually right, especially in longer conversations when it has to manage context. It's not supposed to have memory, dude. it's Yeah, it fails in that. Research. Yeah. I do love the Google AI search for research. That's number 5 here. It is extremely useful. Again, as mentioned, like being able to read a website that otherwise would be inaccessible to me is a huge deal. Um, but like also being sent a lot of documents, ensuring that you have a secured environment where your data isn't shared with training data. And Google is actually better for this. If you have a workspace account, they will make it so that your data is not shared or used for training of their models. Protects your like personal work info. That's really important. But I like to upload documents on there just to kind of get them read through. I read through documents first myself, but then I always do a second AI look so I can fully internalize what is actually in the document, which is what I actually also do with all of my ideas when I brainstorm. And I even do it with the code that I make for prototyping because I don't want to just make something and then mindlessly put it out there. I want to fully, really understand and internalize what this does. What is the architecture? What's the flow of it? How does it go from point A to point B? And I want to know the ins and outs of everything I build and everything I do because, otherwise I'm just kind of a robot. That's not cool. But yeah, that is my answer to the 5 questions. I will upload this to YouTube and I'll get it over. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for reading my article.